Awesome. Well, hi everyone. My name is Victoria. I'm calling from Baton Rouge. We just had a lot of states and even Canada represented. So we're so excited to get started tonight. So excited just to share. So as you can see, I am actually not a millennial. I am a millennial, like kind of a millennial, but I'm actually in that age generation below a millennial. I'm not even sure what it's actually called, but I'm super excited. And one thing that I get so passionate about talking about is millennials being meant for more. And that's something that I resonate with so much because I think so often we go through life and we just kind of settle. We just kind of go for, all right, well, here's the life I'm living, and I guess this is just what it is. And this is just the cards that I got dealt. And I say enough of that. I say that we are meant for more. We are meant to actually live the life of our dreams. And sometimes what I see to happen is, do we even know what our life of our dreams are? Like, do you even know what you want your life to look like? Because sometimes we forget to dream because we get so caught up in the rat run and the race of life that we forget to dream. And I know, ever since I was a little girl, I was a dreamer. I realized that I wanted my life a certain way, and I was going to keep working until I got that. Well, what we're going to talk about today is really some vulnerable things. And we want to invite you guys to open your minds tonight because we are going to be very real and very vulnerable. We're going to be sharing some private information as far as our lives. And we're excited to do that, but we just ask that you can have an open mind and an open heart to receive what we have to say. But we're going to talk about some hard things, especially for those millennials, because I think in all different seasons of life, we walk through different things. And Lauren and I were on talking the other day, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear from her. She is a firecracker. And we were just talking about 4 specific things that we believe us as millennials kind of need, want, and idolize, right? So those 4 pillars of freedom. So that's kind of what we want to talk about tonight. And like I said, I invite you to be open and just listen through. And maybe some of the things that we do talk about, maybe you can resonate with some of those. And some of them might feel heavy. I know for me, some of the things that I'm going to talk about, it's kind of heavy. It's kind of heavy to talk about. But we want to be very raw and transparent with what we walked through, why we walked through it, and what it looked like. But what we walked through, we had a little foundation that we were able to grab hold of and help us walk through these things. So first, the 4 things that we do want to talk about is fun. I think as a millennial, who doesn't want some fun, right? That's why we play music to get a little dance in before we hop on Zoom. We want to have fun. Another thing is we want financial options. I mean, what millennial do you know that doesn't need that, doesn't want that, doesn't want to be able to do what they want with money and kind of spend some money with things that they like to do. And then the third thing is time flexibility. We kind of want to do what we want when we want, right? I know my people on here that maybe aren't millennials know that millennials are like that. And then the 4th is purpose and passion. Having that purpose, standing up and saying, I'm here for a reason and I have a purpose. I have a purpose and people out there need me and I'm passionate about what I do. So those are 4 things that we do want to talk about. But I want to give you a little bit of background that's going to help you understand our stories. Because in these stories, we're going to talk about a vehicle. And that vehicle was something that allowed us to walk through the struggles that we were walking through. So you're going to hear a little bit about that in our stories. But just to give you a little bit of background information in the forefront is we partnered with a company called the Juice Plus Company. And this company has been the vehicle that we decided to use and we decided to partner with to move through these obstacles and 4 pillars of freedom that we have walked through. So just a little bit of brief information just so you can understand a few parts of our story. The Juice Plus Company is basically 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries in a capsule. So just as simple as that, that's the product. And if you want to hear more information later about that, we will definitely give that to you. But the business is something that we decided to partner with and do, quite frankly, however much or however little we wanted with it. So just to give you that background information, we're going to go ahead and get started just so you can understand what we're talking about a little bit more clear. But Lauren, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to you. And if you want to just share a little bit about what I just introduced, and then maybe go into the first pillar of freedom.
So good. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay, good stuff. I'm so excited to be here, you guys. Thank you so much. And taking the time out of our busy lives, even though like we're kind of just chilling at home, sometimes it feels like a lot to ask to like commit to things. I know for me, I'm like, you want me to what? Get off the couch and stop watching Netflix? So thank you all for being here. First things first. And I'm really, really excited to share. I was like, me and Victoria were talking before, and when we we're kind of planning this, and we're like, how should we start it? What one do we want to start with? And I was like, anyone who knows me, I know I've got my fellow Canadians on this call with me, but anybody who knows me knows fun and variety is like my top priority. I'm goofy. I'm a little bit over the top. I love to kind of go all out. And that's why we really wanted to start with this pillar. It's the reason that I am here, or that I'm in this business, because variety and choice and fun and adventure are like my top priorities. It drives my boyfriend nuts. We've been together for 8 years. You'd think he would know by now, but he'll ask me, hey babe, like, what are we doing today? I'm like, I don't know, whatever we want to do. And the poor guy, it drives him nuts, but that's just how I like to live my life. And that's what this business and this vehicle that me and Victoria with the Juice Plus company, that's been able to create for us. So I want to kind of dive into my story, how I got started, because it fits so beautifully into this pillar. And I want to kind of rewind 3 years ago. Me and Victoria, we were actually, when we were chatting the other day, we joined this business in the same month. So it's pretty special, and you don't always get that, especially like we're very similar in age, run our businesses very similarly, and we started at the same time too, but just a little bit different. The reason that I joined this business was I have a little sister, no kids. I'm a dog mom, but I know that's not even anywhere close to the real thing. And I have a little sister. She's 4 years younger than me, and she was really, really ill. She wasn't doing very good health-wise, and I decided to give the product a go, just knowing that for every adult that takes the product, a child is able to get it for free. And I sponsored her as my free child, and she got the chews, and we had miraculous results. And that's a whole nother story, a whole nother 30-minute Zoom call that I could chat about. But ultimately what happened was, if you guys can't tell already, I'm loudmouth. I love to talk. So I was naturally just going out and sharing, and just sharing what I love with who I love. It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't overly complicated. It was just simple, just like what our product is and what our business model is. And what that led me to was an opportunity and a little bit of a crossroads where I was in a chapter in my life where there was no fun. I was working a just over broke a job. I was working a 9 to 5. It wasn't something that was fulfilling me. It wasn't something that lit me up on a daily basis. And I knew that I was meant for more. And I think a lot of us can really resonate with that. You know, you feel that in your heart, you know that in your gut, that there's something more out there, you know, waking up in the morning and going, is this really it? Like, is this what it's all cracked up to be? Because if 5-year-old me had known that, I maybe wouldn't have wanted to rush to be an adult so quickly, you know? And in that chapter of my life, it was a really challenging time. And what I knew, what you know, was placed on my heart, and what I knew I wanted to do was I wanted to go and travel, and I wanted to backpack in Southeast Asia. Bali particularly was my dream. And the reality is that there wasn't an opportunity for me to, number one, have time off of my job for as long as I wanted to go. And number two, financially, it just wasn't something that was going to work. So what this business was able to create for me was I was able to go and backpack in Indonesia. And I did Thailand for just under 2 months with my boyfriend. And it was absolutely phenomenal. And I know a lot of people do that. I know that that's a common thing. And I definitely know that as in that millennial generation, Gen Y, Gen X, that's one of my top values. And I know everyone that I talk to that is around my age, travel is some of the best education that you can get. And through that, you know, I remember boarding the plane and knowing, wow, this is pretty cool. You know, my Juice Plus business was able to provide this for me, and still feeling like I was way too cool to ever pursue something in an industry like ours. And the reality was, you know, I was able to go and travel for like just under 2 months. And for me, my moment was when I was sitting in a cafe in Bali. I was drinking possibly, potentially, I won't ever commit to an actual number, maybe my fifth or sixth iced latte of the day. Yeah, I was buzzing a little bit. And I got a text message on my phone. And I looked down at the notification and I had just gotten paid. And it was such a powerful moment in my life because I was living the dream. I was on the other side of the world. I was doing the thing. And I had just gotten paid and I hadn't worked in over 2 months. I hadn't touched my business. Now, what I do want to say is that paycheck was that representation of that paycheck was all based on work that I had done in the past months, and it was hard work. And that's the beauty of that residual income. So this is one of my very top values in my life. And I think it's such an important value because I think it's the first pillar that always gets left behind. So that's how I was able to walk through that and what I was able to create in that pocket of my life.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. Maybe your fifth or sixth. My goodness. That's so fun. So I want to go ahead and talk about the second pillar that we talked about, and that's financial options. And I can say I tend to like to buy things. I love shopping. The other day, my husband and I, we were talking about, he was like, what do you like to do? Because I was bored for the day. And I was like, well, shop. No, that was it. I was like, I just like to shop. I love outfits. I love buying things. So I need financial options. And actually, when the business was introduced to me 3 years ago, my first initial thought was, if I could make $100 a month, that's a new pair of Lululemon tights. And that was really my vision, right? Well, things have grown. But what I want to talk about is those financial options. And so I am a newlywed. We've been married for almost 3 months now. And it's funny because things are a lot different now when you get married. It's kind of like, when you say your vows, it's, through sickness, through all of it. And I now pronounce you with debt, right? I now pronounce you have a bunch of debt. Because what's unfortunate is that's the world we live in now. And my husband and I, and this is really honest and raw, we sat down in November of 2019, just a few months before being married, and realized we had $72,000 in debt. That was our first time taking a serious look at our finances, and we were like, holy crap. And then we go and get married, okay? So money is the number one issue in relationships, right? We know this. We know that that's a common stressor. And what we also know due to statistics is 86% of couples that get married, like the 5 years. So let's say the first 5 years, 86% of couples are in debt. That's heavy, y'all. That's really heavy. $76,000 freaking dollars is heavy. It feels like, gosh, like, how are we ever going to get out of that? Like, I remember when I first started my business, I was like, well, I'm just going to be paying debt my whole life, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like you have options. It doesn't feel like you can go experience life. And in my eyes, it makes me feel guilty. It makes me feel failed. And what I will share, none of this was irresponsible debt, right? It was school, cars, and a motorcycle. That's it. It wasn't anything irresponsible. It was things that we needed. And we thought, okay, well, how are we going to get rid of this? How in the world? Like, we're never going to have kids. We're never going to buy a house. And that's where my brain was going, because that's the type of person that I am. And what I can share about my husband is as much as I love shopping, I could very much be extremely frugal and not buy anything. Like, literally, we're eating rice for the next month. And I could live like that, but he's taught me that's not a good way to live, so we still want to be able to enjoy life while getting out of debt. So how in the world? And so we've actually both been in this business for 3 years now. And this is what has taught us the power of residual income. And something that my mentor, Mr. Carey, has taught me, if any of you guys are familiar with like return on interest, right? So in a traditional world, I would have to have over $1 million saved in some type of financial instrument to pay me a net return of like 3%, something with 3% interest to earn what I'm earning today, residually. Over $1 million in savings. How in the world would I ever do that? Right? So it doesn't happen. So I saw the power of residual income, bringing in a residual income every single month. So along with a few other things that we're involved in, this opportunity has actually aided us in just 7 months to pay off $35,000 of that $72,000 of debt. one half of our debt is gone, and it's been 7 months. And our goal is to be completely debt-free by February of 2021 or sooner. So that's something that's so powerful. And what I can say is we're not like, we literally just went and got restaurant. Like we went and ate at a restaurant and we picked up some dessert on the way home. You know, we're not living a life where we feel like we're like stuck, and we're still being able to pay off debt at an exponential rate. And that's bringing in an extra source of income, right? And this is what I do full time, but bringing in something that's residual, it became really, really powerful. And it gives us more financial options. And so what I want to share is our vision is about a month ago when we were sitting in quarantine, we looked at each other and, you know, we're loving being married and we're like thinking about life. And I honestly don't even know like how this started, but we were like, how fun would it be to buy an RV and travel the world for a year? That's what millennials think of, you know, sometimes. And I was like, I would love to do that. That'd be so fun. And we started looking into it. And then out of nowhere, we got so stressed. And we're like, we can't do this. Like, we have to pay off our debt first. And what I can feel and what I can relate to is it would have been so easy if I didn't have this vehicle of the Juice Plus business to feel in my gut, this will never happen. We're never going to pay off the debt. We're never going to get to buy the RV. We're never going to get to travel the world and see all the places that we want. But because of this incredible opportunity, our debt will be gone by February 2000. Like, I know it will. I know it will because I've seen what's already happened, and I know what happens when you work in this business and you treat this business like a business. It's really incredible how you can really leverage yourself to get the big goals done. So we will be buying an RV unless our plans change. We will be buying an RV and traveling the world. So that is our goal, and that's an option that we get to say yes to. So wealth isn't about money. You know, it's not about having money. It's about having options. And that's something that we want. Maybe we'll decide not to do the RV, but guess what? We'll do something else. You know, so it's just having those options. So Lauren, back to you.
Thank you so much. Did you want me to speak to, or did you want to speak to flexibility?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll talk to flexibility too. So awesome. I just get sidetracked sometimes. So perfect. So our third pillar is flexibility. And I think that's something that's super important because I know for me, I like to kind of be in control. I like to be able to choose the things that I want to do. And I think that, you know, just like the van, how would we be able to do that without time flexibility? And so after we travel the world for a year, our vision is to buy a house, settle down, and have a family. And so what I can share is, you know, starting a family is something that people do. You know, it's normal. And I've started to realize that now that I've been married. But what I had to also realize is I don't want to start a family and have to pay to get my kids to go to daycare. And that's a hard spot because I do know a lot of people end up there, but I want to be able to say yes to mom and dad care. You know, I want to be able to be there literally holding my kids' hand through all of their first, right? I want to be there with my video camera and my Instagram, filming them and creating memories and being there. But sometimes with what we do in the world that we're in, we don't get that, right? We have to go to work and pay a child care. And that's fine. If some people love that, then that's great. And if that feels good for you, then I love that for you. But I know for me, I want to be home with my kiddos. And so being able to work from my phone and have that flexibility is something that I think is really, really powerful, especially with our day and age. We want to be able to work from Wi-Fi. Y'all, I work from the pool. Right now the pool's closed and it's driving me crazy. So being able to work from the pool, how cool is that? But what I will share really fast is when I found out about this business, I actually had 4 jobs. In time freedom, I mean, that wasn't a thing. And what that felt like kind of, I'm gonna be honest, and this is just my own experience, it kind of felt like jail to me. Like it kind of felt like I was not ever gonna get to do what I wanted to do. And I had a couple of friends that were doing a lot of traveling because at the time they didn't have to work because they were still in college. And I did, you know, I did have to work. And it felt like I was stuck, you know, not being able to get out and do the things that I wanted. And even if it was a birthday party or Christmas, I remember I was told I had to work one Christmas. And that's kind of when I realized, man, like, this is not for me. You know, I want to have that choice. I want to be able to say where I want to be and when I want to be there. And starting this business and doing this business, I've been full-time for about 2 years now. And it's been so much fun because I get to choose, right? I get to say, yes, I'm going to sleep in today. And guess what? I enjoy doing that. I get to say, yes, I'm going to go to the gym in the broad middle of the day. I get to say yes to traveling for a year. I get to say yes to doing all of these things that we want to do. So that has checked my box off of being able to have that time freedom. So I think time is so much more valuable than money to be able to do and be with the people that you love.
I love that. I could listen to you speak seriously all day. And it's so true and it's so real. And I think with all of this, just to like wrap up our last pillar here, which is purpose and passion, which even when I say those words, just like thinking and feeling into your body of like, when I say purpose and passion, how does that feel for you? What does that make you think of? What do you relate that to? And can you think of something that brings you passion and you purpose in your life? And I mean, like me and Victoria, we're not naive to what life is. And a lot of, moving into your adulthood, a lot of these things like, adventure and time flexibility and financial options and purpose and passion, none of this is new and none of this goes away for a lot of people. These are burdens and heavy things that people carry with them their entire lives. And what I know to be true is I grew up in a extremely abusive household. It was something that was really, really challenging for me. And I never saw purpose and passion in anyone that was around me. That wasn't something that I had aspired to. It was something that I thought was for other people. And it was definitely not something that I thought was, something that I could walk into or I could create for myself in my life. And ultimately, as I started moving into adulthood, and the more people that I talked to, there is more and more people going to school for things that do not light them up. Now there's more and more people that are, maybe in relationships that don't feel good to them or working jobs that don't light them up. And one of my favorite quotes of all time, and I literally have it plastered on my vision board. I look at it every day. I look at it while I'm working out. I think about it before I go to bed. And it's a beautiful quote by Nelson Mandela. And it says, there's no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that is less than one that you are capable of living. And I think that if you are able to create something so powerful and something that lights you up and that you're passionate about, and what I can speak to is 100% I'm passionate about our marketing plan and about the amazingness of our products and all of our community. But ultimately what this vehicle has been able to bring me and in my heart is I look in the mirror and I'm passionate about who I see. And I'm passionate about who I go to bed thinking about what I'm doing and what I'm creating and the legacy I get to leave from my babies, not just my dog, but my babies. And, and that is what is beautiful to me. And not everybody, and it's crazy. The older that I get, the more I realize that there's some people who don't even feel a spark of that in their life. And that is what lights my heart on fire. And I know it lights Victoria's heart on fire, and why we are so passionate and on purpose about what we do and why we do it. Because everybody deserves to go to bed at the end of the day and wake up in the morning and go, I am doing necessary work. I am living to my full potential, and I am living into my 4 pillars of freedom. And that is what I know to be true. It's what I know I want to invest my time in and what I want to work into, the type of person I want to be. So these 4 pillars are something that I carry with me my whole life, not just as a Gen Y or a millennial. It's not something that I am I'm dealing with when I'm 30 or 40, or if I am, then I have a roadmap out of that. So to wrap everything up, the last thing that I want to kind of speak to you is just, bringing it back to my moment in Bali. And they say that you say yes to this business twice, and maybe the first time it's for your aunt or your uncle, or, there's something about it that maybe feels good to you. But the second time is really when things, get warmed up and you really start going. And for me, it was when I was sitting in that cafe and I was on that 6th latte, and it might have been the latte speaking, you guys, but what I know to be true was when that message came through and I was able to realize, whoa, I'm on the other side of the world filling up my heart, filling up my soul. And my paycheck is a direct reflection of how many people's lives I was changing. It was a reflection of my team being able to pay their rent and their groceries and pay off their debt. Was such a phenomenal feeling. And it was such an overwhelming, and I get goosebumps and a little emotional every single time I tell it, because I'm so grateful that I was gifted that moment. Was, wow, maybe I don't need to compromise as much as I grew up watching people around me compromise, or what society has told me that I need to compromise for. And maybe I get to say yes more than I have to say no. And maybe, just maybe, I get to live a life of purpose and passion and flexibility and freedom. And that was it for me. I mean, from there, that was my second yes, and I haven't stopped since. So the last thing I just want to leave you with is, if not this, then what? And if not now, then when? So thank you, guys.
That's so awesome. Thanks so much, everybody, for getting on. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Mwah.
It was 30 minutes.
Thank you.
And they recorded it too, so I can go back
Thank
later
y'all
and
so
listen.
much.